We have a longtime friend of the Freshwater Fishing Club, Bill Brooker, Brooker Bait and Tackle over in Leesburg. If you've got anything that you've ever needed or wanted to know about fishing, I don't care if it's bass fishing or speck fishing, pan fishing, this outfit will give you the information. They might not, make you catch fish, but they will at least tell you what the reports are, what's going on in the area. If you can't get the tackle or you want something, they will order it. I'll let him go ahead and enlighten you all. He's got some sales coming up here, and plus we've got a young guy who's also an avid BASS Open tournament angler. So with that, Bill, it's all yours.
Thank you very much for inviting us back here. We enjoy it every time we come up. Fishing has been a little slow, been a little tough, but it's been, on the weekends, it's been taking 15 to 20 pounds to win the Saturday and Sunday tournaments. Something. They've been catching a few, nice fish. So 7 pound on Saturday was big fish, and on Sunday was, I think, 7.2 or 7.3 in the tournament over there. So there are a few big fish being caught, but it has been a little slow. Everybody's not catching fish. You have 20, 25 boats, and there'll be 1 or 2 boats that's got a nice stringer, and everybody else has got 10 pounds, 9 pounds. I fished the other day for 8 hours, and we had 3 fish, weighed 8 pounds and a half, and it took only 10 pounds and something to get the money that day. So, but it was 14, 15 pounds won it that day. So anyway, that and the specks have been, the guy come in tonight and said he's been catching 25 to 35 specks late in the afternoon on Little Lake Harris. Well, he didn't say where, but he bought half a pound of minnows, so I know he's using minnows. We've had several people say that Lake Denham or Lake Deaton, you can get in there. It says lily pads look like it's a little hard. He said, but he put his fast boat in there, and he said he's been catching a bunch of specks, and he said they're big ones, like 1.5 pounds. He said, he said a bunch to me. He said I get 16 or 18 in the afternoon in 2 or 3 hours. So that's pretty good for this early in the year, I think. I think it's just due we've had a little bit of cool weather. So, but that should get better and better. December, January is generally, end of December, January, the specks generally come on real good, like 3 days before the full moon, 3 days after. They'll get on the edges. You can catch them real easy then. With minnows or jigs. I like to fish for them when they're on the edge. A lot of these guys go out and deep water fish. And this guy told me he was catching them over Lake Deaton, right? I never fished over there, but anyway, he said he's fishing out in about 12 foot of water. And he said the bite's slow, but he said when you catch a fish, it's 1 pound to 1.5 pounds. One of the other things I want to go over with y'all, we've got speed worms in this color. This is a June bug with a shad color. It was one of the hottest baits that was going to my house plenty of times. And we're also going to have Shaw Grisby out of Gainesville there. So we'll have to be there around 9 o'clock in the morning on that Saturday morning. We're going to have a free lunch, barbecue lunch from 11 to 1. It will have barbecue chicken and barbecue pork and some sides. So y'all come join us for a free lunch. We're going to have my Shimano rep out of Kentucky will be there. He's going to have G. Loomis, Shimano. He'll have over 200 rods and over 100 reels with him. These are his samples that he takes to the shows. They're 2014. They got a full factory warranty on them, and they're going to be selling them at a discounted price. 1 day only, just for that day.
What's the date?
December the 13th. We'll have live music there from 10 to 3, the same band we've had every year. Showbiz will be there. We'll have a bunch of we'll have Power Pro guys will be there. Grady's going to join us for the day. And we'll have a lot of fun. We're going to have some drawings. We've got raffles going on there now. We got 2 rod and reels there that are over $300 each. We got a $5 raffle on them. You can go in the shop, pick up a ticket. 2 weeks before the anniversary sale, every time you come in and make a purchase, we're going to give you a ticket, and we'll have 4 or 5 gifts. He has his cards up here. He guides all the time. He goes to college, and he also fishes the Opens, all the BASS Open tournaments. There's 3 of them a year. And I'm going to let him talk to y'all a little bit. He's got some techniques and all he talked to y'all about. And like I say, he also guides, and we'll answer any questions after he's done.
Thank you, Mr. Bill. Good evening, everyone. I'm Grady Maynard. Mr. Bill did my introduction for me. So, yeah, I'm fishing the Southern Opens on the pro side this year, so I'm pretty excited about that. Got a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about, quick techniques on how you can best fish in the fall. The fall is really a difficult time of the year. You want to narrow it down to certain patterns, but there's a ton of them out there. You kind of want to junk fish. What I do this time of the year is that you have to find the bait. Wherever the bait is, that's where the bass are. There's a ton of different forage that the bass are eating this time of the year. They eat shad, shiners, and bluegill, and tons of other kind of different live bait fish that live in the water. So what I do is I'll pick up a moving bait, and I cover a lot of water, usually a lipless crankbait. This is a Yozuri right here. This is one of their new products that just came out at ICAST. It's designed just kind of like an Excalibur one knocker, except it has all the rattles still inside of it, instead of just the one. I'll pick this up and I'll go cruise along the shoreline, canals, all that, and toss this, and keep on moving until I either catch a fish or I find the bait fish. So once I do that, then I'll start to slow down and I'll dissect the area. I usually put my power poles down and I'll start fan casting around. Now there's a bunch, once you do that, you'll want to dissect even further into the area and figure out what's down there. Usually this time of the year for me, it's been eelgrass. The eelgrass has been where a lot of the shiners have been hanging out because these cold fronts come through and those shiners will stick their head into the eelgrass and bury down into it. So the bass are going to be on the outsides of that, and that's why you want to dissect the area. If you find out if it's eelgrass, once you catch a couple on the rattle trap, you want to slow down a little bit, and Mr. Bill showed you those speed worms. Now that's a really good worm to Texas rig. And Texas rig is probably the #1 thing I use to catch fish. It's my good old faithful. I always have it on the front deck of the boat. You can catch fish on it any time of the year, no matter what, as long as you fish it slow. Now this setup right here is my Texas rig fishing rod. I get a 7-foot heavy Scott Martin rod. This is an Okuma you can find over at Brooker's Bait and Tackle. It also has on a Daiwa Type R to Tula. This is a brand new reel that just came out last year, and they're redesigning it also this year to make it even better. But the reason I choose this rod right here is 7 foot. It's a versatile rod. It's heavy action though. The Okuma heavy action is very stiff backbone, which is what I like for fishing Texas rigs, and has a very sensitive tip, kind of limber so that you're not ripping it completely out of their mouths. Now with a setup like this, I use on the Harris chain, because we have dirtier water than most other lakes, I'll use about 20-pound fluorocarbon, usually Sunline. So that's my setup with that. Then I'll have it on the speed worm. I'll have a 3/16 or an 1/8 ounce weight, depending on the wind and depth I'm fishing. So if it's eelgrass, I'm primarily going to use a 3/16 ounce weight, which is on there, and a straight shank hook, which helps me improve my hook sets on the Texas rig, because you will miss a lot of fish on a Texas rig if you're not used to it. But that's the setup I use for that. And the way you want to fish it is you want to fish it really slow. The slower you can fish it, the better, especially this time of the year when you have high pressure fronts moving through. You're going to want to cover a lot of water, but you're going to throw it on just about any rod. But this year, I picked up another one of these rods over at Bill's shop. This is the Scott Martin frogging rod, 7'3", extra heavy. Now this rod, it was designed by Scott Martin for frogging. So it has a very limber tip so that you can walk the frog back and forth, and a stout backbone so that you can have enough pressure if you're fishing heavy cover to rip them out. Now, the reason I like it for this time of the year is it's not completely cold yet. So the bass are still kind of moving around. They're chasing bait, like I was saying earlier. On these warmer days we get in the middle of the week, or say even the weekend, when it starts warming up, the bass are going to start going back shallow a little bit and chasing the bait. I've actually seen it this past week on a couple spots in Lake Harris. They've been chasing shiners, jumping out of the water, almost schooling like in the clear water in the backs of canals. So what I do is if I'm fishing heavy cover or not, it doesn't really matter. This frog is very versatile. You can take it and throw it just about anywhere and get hits on it. This is my #1 confidence bait for big fish. If I'm looking for a big bite, I'm going to throw this frog. Like I said, 6 trophy catch fish came off this year. And what I do to this frog actually is I'll take the frog right out of the package, and I take one of the tails and cut it straight in half. Now the reason I do that is I don't know if any of you are familiar with fishing these hollow body frogs. They're really hard to get them to walk back and forth. So once you do that, that frog's going to walk back and forth like an injured bait fish. That's what it's supposed to represent. A lot of people think they're supposed to represent frogs, but they're not. I don't believe so, and that's my thought, but I have confidence because I think it looks like an injured bluegill on top of the water, and the bass can come up and attack it out of instinct. So that's why I do that. I also fish it on another Daiwa Tatula Type R, 8-to-1 gear ratio. That's right, 8-to-1. It's a high-speed reel. When you're fishing very heavy cover, you're launching that frog, because it's actually a heavy frog, you cast it quite a ways. You're going to want to get that fish in fast if it's in heavy cover. You want to rip it out. And I'm also fishing 65-pound braid on that. And that'll help you get the big ones out. The biggest one this year, trophy catch I caught, it actually went to the Lunker Club. It was 10.2 out of Lake Eustis. I went to Backwater Canal. It was late spring. Duckweed topped out across the canal, bait fish blowing up back there. Toss that frog. Trips I do use shiners this time of the year. Like I said, they're chasing, they're looking for those shiners. So there's no other bait out there that's better. They tend to use the shiners because that's what they're looking for. So when I want a high success guide trip, I'm going to throw those extra large shiners out there. And I went out last Sunday for a guide trip, and they absolutely annihilated them. We even caught an 8-9 pound catfish that came up and ate the shiner as well. So they're kind of concentrated in one area.
Can you catch anything on domestics, or do you have to have wild?
I would love to get my hands on some wilds. I've been using domestics lately, and they've been working quite well. The wilds have a natural instinct and fear of the bass, so they're going to run away. Generally, the wacky rig is kind of also like the frog. It puts off a movement that the bass instinctively attack. So yes, and depending on the conditions, the colder time of the year, I generally don't use it. But I've even tried trick worms as a wacky rig. And wacky rig, you'll usually take a straight-tailed worm. It'll be straight on both sides. You'll put the hook right in the center of the worm. And when you hook in the water and you pull it, it's going to go like this. And it has a kind of an action of something that has a broken back. Kind of around, if you see one topped out, a grass bed, it's the pepper grass or hydrilla, you don't really want to throw it into the Kissimmee grass, you want to throw it parallel, kind of like all the other grasses. But you're trying to look for that grass on the bottom. It grows up and produces heat and cover for the forage and the bass. I'm doing 2 people for $225, but you're getting local knowledge, somebody who lives here, who fishes here all the time. So I just want to let you know that today is $25 off my rate. If you book through Mr. Brooker, he will give me a call.
The normal rate's $250.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's $250 for 4 hours, and then the full day is 8 hours, which is usually $400, which will be $375. If you want to, and that's for 2 people. So, and if you want to do a third person, which I can do 3, I can't do any more than that, but it's another $45. So, bait is not included. You do need to purchase the bait, but I will pick it up. Other than that, if you have any other questions, I have business cards up here. And also the tours, the eco tours we do out of Mount Dora, I just want to let y'all know. Also, you can pick up my business cards. We do tours through the Dora Canal, eco tours to look at all the birds, the gators, and all that kinds of cool stuff. You want to take your family out, call me, I'll call my boss, and he can do kind of a special trip, and we even do sunset tours. So that's me, that's my techniques. I also have a YouTube channel, and here's Mr. Brooker.
Thank you, Greg. I also have flyers up here about this sale on the 13th. And like I say, anything that you need to order, anything that we don't have in the store, see Natalie.